Well, you may have heard the expression, if trees could only talk, just think about what they could tell us. And if you think about how long some trees have been around and what they've been associated with, we could learn a lot from trees, especially if they could talk. Well, there's an organization that in a way offers trees that are testaments to the future. The program is the Famous and Historic Trees Program, that is an educational undertaking sponsored by the American Forest nonprofit organizations, which also happens to be the nation's oldest conservation organization. Now, the Famous and Historic Trees Program was introduced in 1988 with the goal of attracting attention to American history and environmental improvements through tree planting. Now, you can purchase some of their trees for a fee of about $35. And with that comes a tree, obviously. It includes postage and handling, or there's a little additional charge there in some cases. But you also get what is called a tree shelter, your stake. You'll also get some other things as well as instructions on how to plant. You get a year's subscription to their newsletter, and you get a certificate of authenticity, which talks about your historical or famous tree, as well as some organic fertilizer. Now, the trees there's about 170 different ones to choose from. They come from trees that are planted from famous Americans, maybe famous homesteads, battlefields, or locations from historic events. And remember, they're propagated from those actual trees, either through cuttings or seeds. Now, the interesting thing about this is that your tree gives you instructions on what kind of historic or famous background it comes with. Now, our particular tree is a Trail of Tears redbud. We've already planted it. And if any of you are familiar coming from Oklahoma, you've heard of the Cherokee Trail of Tears, where they came from and ended up in Oklahoma. And I want to read a little bit to you about, it says that this Trail of Tears redbud was grown from the seed of redbuds which witnessed the passing of Cherokees on their way to their new home in Oklahoma. So again, this tree could tell a lot of stories, possibly, if it could talk. But we followed the instructions. We planted it the same depth that it was grown. We put a little bit of mulch around it, and then they encourage you to put the tree shelter on it to protect it from any environmental stress such as wind, etc. And then we've staked it and followed the directions, fertilizing and everything. And hopefully this tree will grow up to be a beautiful landscape improvement here in our Circle Drive. Now, the Famous and Historic Trees program is not only looking for trees to sell you as far as for individual or grove plantings or community projects, but they're also interested in finding out about famous and historic trees in your area. And if you know of something like that, you may want to contact them, because they may want to put some of those on the inventory and tell you how to propagate them as well. Now, if you want more information again about the tree planting, you can call the Famous and Historic Trees program at 1-800-677-0727. Again, that's 1-800-677-0727. And remember, the fall is a great time to be planting trees, so you might want to do your homework and get your historic or famous tree for your landscape or community.